Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be back. Actually, this is really my home because in 1972, I arrived here as a junior assistant professor from Stanford. And none of this building existed. It was the old Moore School. And there were all these older professors. And as I mentioned, there was one of them, and I said, "Hello, John." And he said, "Ruzena, you don't touch me." You know, it was a no-touch kind of faculty. Any case, I came from Stanford, from the AI lab. My advisor was John McCarthy, who actually invented the word artificial intelligence. And I tell you, he's probably turning in his grave when he would see what they think is AI. Because what John thought was AI was basically taking this big world, having sensors, and somehow observing the world and looking for invariances. That was John's big shtick, you know, looking for invariances, how you represent this big world in this digital form. And of course, to him, the compressed information was symbolic representation. And because of that, he invented this lambda calculus. Has anybody heard about lambda calculus? Good. So the lambda calculus gives you the opportunity to deal with symbols, the first symbol and the last symbol, and then concatenation and all that. And he assumed that the knowledge that you represent in the brain is in this symbolic representation. And then in order to manipulate, he invented this lambda. Well, it turned out that obviously, as the neuroscientists proceeded, they found out that actually you have these spikes in the brain, right? That's what you measure, spikes, ones and zeros. And so if you take the Turing machine, if you would want to represent the complex knowledge, you would have to have an infinite length of the tape of ones and zeros. So there has to be some kind of a different way of compressing. Plus, of course, all the connections that you have, all these networks. The complexity comes from the fact that each neuron has all these tentacles to other neurons. And so the complexity is huge. And at this point, we are trying to understand it. We are far from it. But in any case, so I came here and I worked on computer vision at Stanford. And I came and there were no cameras, guys. In 1972, there were no digital cameras. There were all these analog cameras. So that's what Ruzena Bacjsy took. I was also an electrical engineer, so I sat down and I built one. You could buy the one-dimensional solid state scanner, but then I had to build how you go through the lines and the digitizer. And I did with Aaron Snyder was this is 72, my master students with whom I built that camera. And that's how we started to do computer vision. And then 79, I very quickly recognized that vision is not good enough. That vision will not tell you whether you have a hole there or whether there is a material. So in order to know, you need tactile perception. And so in 79, I had a student, Peter Allen from Columbia, who was now retired. You know, many of my students are retired, and here I am. But that's a message for you too. anyway, so we did the first paper where we wrote that one sensor is not good enough. And so we used the tactile sensor. And 79, I got my tenure, and so we started this whole GRASP laboratory. And little by little, we built it up and hired new people and so forth and so on. So the hallmark of the GRASP lab, and there is a message, guys, for you. Do you hear me properly? Do I speak enough clearly so that I can understand myself? The hallmark of 79, the GRASP lab, was collaboration of EE, CS, and ME. In early 80s, I hired Vijay Kumar, okay, who was the mechanical engineer who taught all of us about kinematics and later on dynamics. Any case, the hallmark was collaboration. But in addition to that, there was an older gentleman by name Britton Chance in the medical school who learned that there is this young woman professor who does imaging, and Penn was a pioneer in positron emission tomography, okay? And so they had images and they needed my skills to process those images. So I got involved with the medical imaging. So I already at that time, which is, we are talking about 81, 82, I looked upon the medical school as a source of innovation, as a source of ideas. All right, so, okay. Now we are moving 2022, so I skipped from 72 to 22. Okay, so here I am. So I went in 2020, I went to Berkeley. I worked there for 20 years. I built up robotics classes and labs and worked on soft robots. So you name it, I did it. And then a year ago or so, I started to notice that I couldn't write for more than half an hour, couldn't stand on my legs. So I said, well, Bacjsy, you better retire. And so when I was thinking where to retire, I came back to Penn. So here I am 1 year ago. But Penn has changed tremendously. I mean, there are all these beautiful new buildings, including this Odeon. There are these wonderful new professors who really speak, you know, in their dreams, control theory like nothing, you know, and they talk about optimization and statistics and you name it, they do it. So it was a pleasure to really see that. But the GRASP lab, I would say that in some ways haven't changed much. And that's what the message for you guys is. You are the hope of the future. You are new. You have here at least 5 years. So you really can make changes with new ideas, with new experiments, with new problems. And I will outline some of them, what I think we should be thinking about. So new advancements in materials. You have here a fantastic material science department. I don't know if you are aware, but even when I was here, material science was always relatively highly ranked. And they have now a new National Science Foundation Center, and they are looking at how on the cellular level, See, you could look at problems on multiple scales, and that gives you a new inspiration. Of course, if you want to work on that cellular level, you have to learn the language of the microbiology or micromaterials, because the language, and it really is much more in the chemistry. You need to learn a little bit of chemical science, chemistry, but it's a fantastic source of innovation. So take advantage of the material science department when they also, you have here a lab, you will see that tomorrow, no, Monday, I guess, where Anna is looking at the robots in the water. So you need fluid mechanics for them. So you need to learn that part, okay. And then of course, soft robotics. Soft robotics will require that you learn not just kinematics as we know it, but you need to learn continuous mechanics. And continuous mechanics, the mechanical engineers have been studying this for a while. They love the finite element analysis but continuous mechanics also gives you deformation. It also talks about stiffness, how hard you can use this. So you will need to expand not just what the classical robotics mechanics taught you. You would have to expand for doing the continuous mechanics, the stiffness and hardness and deformation, geometrical deformation. So remember that. All right, now control, you have here George Papas, who really knows quite a bit, and there are some younger people. So the control theory has moved from PID control, where I was young, to stochastic control and multi-level control and multi-robot controls. And and of course, in order to control, you need to have a model of the system, and that's where the fluid mechanics and the soft mechanics comes in. All right, so that now you will be taking classes, and the classes are important because you will be learning tools, but remember, you will be learning tools. And if you can pick up as many tools, so much better. And the tools you might also not only take from the engineering school, but also think about some maybe from physics department, maybe from, I don't know, I think there is an applied mathematics department. So look into the schedule, what kind of courses are they offering in applied mathematics that might be very useful to you. And then you may want to look at maybe even some biology or you know, how proteins move around and so forth. All right, then there are seminars. So what I am pleading with you guys is not just go from class, from your house to the class and so forth, but also go to seminars. I have recently attended some seminars here, and I was quite disappointed even with some of the faculty, how few showed up. and I can say that because seminars give you the knowledge of what other people are thinking about, what other problems they are attacking, and the methods, what other methods they are using. So again, I want you to open your horizon. Don't be just fixated to what you learn in the classroom or maybe from the one professor. Look around, and seminars give you, okay. So they also offer some new problems that you may want to hear about, because you will want to decide what kind of PhD work you want to do. Now, you can also learn from other fields. So come think about hard what questions you want to ask and fantasize. It's not a joke, fantasize. This is your time, fantasize. Think about the impossible, okay? You are a very select group, guys, okay? You have been selected from, I don't know how many thousands of applications. So you are the best of the best. So the expectations I have, and many of my colleagues have, that you will be discovering things that nobody has thought about. All right. So let me tell you another point about University of Pennsylvania. The engineering school is very lucky because it's in the walking distance to medical school, to physics, to material science, to Wharton School, if you are interested in economics, okay, to design school is next door, okay? So you have this, Berkeley doesn't have that. Berkeley has to go, swim through the pond to go to University of California in San Francisco. So the collaboration is not that easy, okay? Many other universities, MIT has to go to Harvard, okay? Which is not that easy, okay? And CMU doesn't have a medical school. CMU has Pittsburgh, has to go to Pittsburgh, okay? You see what I'm saying? You are very fortunate to have this wealth of variety of knowledge and skills that you should be sampling and finding what suits you. Not everything will fit each of you, but you should be going around before you commit yourself to find what excites you. Now that requires a little bit of time investment. Now you are in the school and the expectations are that 80% you will be spending on just getting your tools sharpened, your screwdriver or whatever your tools are going to be. But take 20% of your time and explore what's out there. And it's not difficult, it's easy, but it requires that you learn a little bit the other field language. Okay, you will have to, I live on Google because I am all the time learning, all the stuff about biology, which interests me currently. But you can do the same. So 20% of your total time is not that much, but don't lose the opportunity to find out other things that are exciting. So I wanted to, this is a luxury that many schools like Berkeley, MIT, Stanford do not have. Look to learn from these other disciplines. Okay, now the other disciplines, as I said, it's not going to be easy, but as I said, you are young and you are smart. And if you spend 20% of your time every day to learn the other language, the other vocabulary, then you can then make a decision for yourself. Now, the other key point there is that you have to have also some personal connections, because collaboration is really, I don't want to say it's like marriage, but it comes close. You have to like each other when you collaborate. You have to trust each other when you collaborate. And of course, you have to somehow believe in the same thing. what is the topic of your collaboration? Okay, so that's why I said it's almost like marriage, but not exactly. And but you have to find people, and that's why it's important that you find what seminars they do, what kind of group meetings they have, and go and test them out. You know, it's absolutely okay for you to go to other people group meetings. Okay, I actually requested that she is making Charity makes a schedule of different professors in the GRASP lab when they have group meetings, so that you can sort of go and try to see what other people are, what other professors are asking, what questions they are asking, and what the problems they are raising. But the same thing you guys can also try to do with other discipline that you may think. You see, I can send you some papers. I recently got very excited about how much time do I have? Well, 5 more minutes. Okay. Recently, I got very excited about, I found a professor from Tokyo University who studies the growth, not learning, but growing, evolution, how you grow. And he connected with some the doctors, the neuroscientists who worry about babies in the mother womb, okay? And he got the data of these neonatal babies as they grow from, I think it's from 6 weeks or 2 months to 9 months, and then out in the real world. But what he has shown mathematically models that as the baby moves, it connects its own body, okay, the tactile sensors, and also the walls of the mother belly. And this signal gets translated to the neurons of the tactile sensors that connect to the brain of the baby and creates the tactile representation of the signal. Now, to me, this is a very exciting thing because it's first time the control, signal processing, and new idea of growing, okay? Now, people have looked at growth with different tree structures and stuff like that, but this is on the cellular level, and the signals of the tactile sensors converted into the representation in the brain. I invited him. He will give a talk here on November 2nd, so I will let you know. But you know, these are the issues where your tools that you learn from statistics, optimization, all what is under this big word ML, machine learning, which I'm not too fond of, but anyway, that's where the fad is, so be as it may. But it's really all about creating architectures. And what I'm saying that there is another thing to think about it is think about architecture that promote growth, okay? And you guys are in perfect position to think about it, learn about it, and do something about it. All right, I have 5 more minutes, so why don't I shut up? and anything you guys want to ask me, you can. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I have a question about when you talk about how as robotics a student, we can fantasize, we can imagine what
That's
the
right.
future is.
That's right.
But in reality, a large proportion of the students will go into the industry. And one problem that I faced was I was a double major in mechanical engineering and computer science because I wanted to do robotics.
Right.
But when I do my interviews, they will ask me, so which one do you want to do, mechanical or software engineering? So there was.
Who asked you that? Here?
It was from Cover Box, so it was a startup.
Oh, it's a company.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do we actually like manage the gap between the specialization in the industry and what we do at robotics?
Good point. Very good point. Well, the only thing I can tell you, there is a guy, and you can look him up at Berkeley, Peter Abil. He has been quite successful. What he does, which is very different than most academics do, what he does, he has an idea, he has a bunch of students, they concoct some gizmo or so. And then, of course, this is the big question mark. In Silicon Valley, there are enough people, he gets some money, startup money. And so he does startup. And these people have been quite successful doing this kind of cultivating startup. Now, what I am trying to get to your answer is that if you go and try to work for him or for any startup, those guys have very definite ideas what they want to accomplish, and then they say, I want you to make this gizmo as opposed to that gizmo and not your fantasy. So if you really want your own fantasy, what you really have to do is, and you have labs here, so you can try things to put together and so, but then you have to raise money if you want to make it as a bigger business. And that's where your fantasy will be realized.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, please.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Like, what do you see as the next paradigm of robotics? I mean, from the 50s to 60s, it was like more about modeling the systems and modeling the environment. And then later on in the 90s and 2000s, it became more about probabilistic robotics. Right now, it's revenue-based.
Okay. I have thought about it quite a bit. Yes, thank you for the question. So, you guys are lucky because the tools that you will be acquiring here are so generic and general that they can be applied on many different scales, both spatial and temporal. So if you want to go on the nano stuff, you can build a nano robot, but it's more importantly on the nano stuff, you can interface with the cells and growth of cells and the microbiology and on that level. But you also can apply it to creating new materials, which is also basically a nano system. But then you can go to the next scale, all right, where you are dealing with organs, let's say, or entities of some sort. And these organs, today I was reading that somebody has invented a composition of materials that they can implant so that they can grow extra liver for you. Okay, so that at that scale, you can do a lot of interesting stuff. But then you can go to the next level and you can ask what Nadia is looking at, how the mechanisms interact with human, and there is a lot of, there is a group, well, in medical area, you have all the prostheses and all the, what you call it, the people who help you with your muscles and your joints and so forth. So, anyway, but then you can go even higher up and you can look at the logistics. For example, you can ask, how do I organize the services for optimizing the best way to allocate parking spaces, depending on which hours people use parking. I can increase the size, the price or not. Okay, so service is a very much in now area where on the more higher level scale you can do some very interesting work on logistics, as an example. And this applies to the military, this applies to economy, this applies to a lot of other stuff. So depending on which layer you want to work on, you have to find the right collaborators, again, who would be the knowledge, the domain experts who could guide you where and how to apply your tools. And together you can make a big difference. Yes. I guess the next person, yeah. I think is here, so yeah, what's your question?
I have some the radio research, and I found that the rest of deep learning is really key for that, and the research direction is really good. There are many, just for the region, there are many directions. The south area is worth a lot of has a lot of things to do. So I want to ask how to take a direction, not just for research in your career, how to take one direction that you can take to for your lifelong career, and what's the time that you may want to change the direction. So this is about.
I am not sure I fully understand your question, but are you asking me how will the deep learning change? No.
How would you pick an area to focus on to devote your career to?
Yeah.
How would I pick area that will not change, that will be new but survive? Okay, all right. All right, very good question. And I will tell you if I would be younger, I would go into this neuroscience collaboration, because it seems to me that there our tools can be very effective in explaining some of the storage and retrieval and growth, you know. But that's my personal, but there are many other areas where you can, with the tools you will learn in your classes, where you can do some fantastic accomplishment. I just recently learned that, for example, in graphics, in the arts community, people are making a tremendous contribution and getting recognition when you make this graphic, this AR, VR, and all that, and how you transmit information and you create artistic things and communication. So there are a lot of possibilities that maybe require another half an hour or so. Yeah, but sorry, I think I didn't want to take time from you. If you have any more questions, Bacjsy@scas, UPenn.edu, send me, and eventually I will reply.